building long-term interactions with mindful NFT community building. Building long-term interactions with mindful NFT community building. Yeah, this is a... So Daniela, and then Cassie. Joyce. Oh, you're Joyce. You're Cassie. And then Pierluigi? Pierre? And then Evan. All right, so I'm happy to support you in this. Yeah, so you have a passion for this. You all work together?
No.
No, this is all, so have you met before?
Yes, a bit.
This is like, this is like one of those dating shows.
Yeah.
And so are you all part of NFT communities?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And who wants to start?
Yeah, sure. So,
And do a little intro of yourself, please.
Sure. So I'm Cassie. I am the content editor for Women Rise, which is an NFT brand run by the artist Maliha Abidi. And so I only joined the space about 4 months ago, so very, very new. And I'm working on Kissa, which is a storytelling platform that we're launching later this month, which will tell the stories of amazing women from around the world.
Okay, great.
Hi guys, I'm Evan Luthra. Thank you for your time. I'm an angel investor and entrepreneur in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space for a long time. I bought my first Bitcoin in 2014. Have been investing deeply in the space. I was an early investor in companies like Hedera Hashgraph, one of the big sponsors here today since 2016. QEii Collectibles since 2018. In the last year, I invested in 300 private sales, pre-listing, helped about 20 of them from pre-listing to post-listing. In the NFT space, I got a little bit late, but have been trying to do the best I can. Hold a bunch of Bored Apes, Clone X's, Doodles, Zukis, CryptoPunks, Solana Community, D-Gods, Solana Monkey Business. So pretty much all the NFTs I can get, I've tried to get them. Over 1,000 NFTs collected till now. And yeah, that's about it. Write for all the top tier media, Cointelegraph, Entrepreneur, Hacker Noon, Forbes, etc. Have about 2 million people who follow me on different social media. When I work with projects, I try to bring the community and credibility and some capital. That's the ways I can add value.
Evan, you could have just said rock star, and then you're just
Hey everybody, I'm 1K Pierre. I'm a human being, and then I have so many other labels. I started working in the NFT space in late 2020, beginning of 2021, and I've been an advisor for brands and startups looking to pivot into Web3. And I'm also the founder of Minerva DAO. It's a DAO for talent to get in together and basically connect, network, and build together. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Daniela Merlano. I'm very happy to be here. I'm a voice of a mindful Web3, which is great to actually have it there. My mission is to create a more empathic world through community building and Web3 and what's happening here, culture vibe more than the technology. And I work building education at QEii Academy. And I see some Web3 friends here, and thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Joyce Moloney. I'm from Ireland. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and basically, I suppose I am, how can I say, a driver of pilot projects to enhance the mind and mindfulness going forward through the medium of NFT. I view myself as a bit of a media and entrepreneur. I travel quite a bit, and I'm trying to reinvent metaphysics in the metaverse.
Okay, excellent. So everybody here, does everybody have, so my question is, do you have your own community, or is there a community that you're affiliated with?
I'm basically my own brand. I'm mother of story emotionalism in IRL, but in the metaverse, I'm mad at metaphysics in the metaverse. So
Okay, so you're developing community.
Yes.
And Daniela?
In my case, my personal brand as well. I participated in a mental health community of 250 people too. That I think is very important to have in the space.
And Pierre?
Yeah, I have my own small community back in Italy, and I also participate in many NFT communities as a holder, and I like to be part of the communities and contribute to the projects when I believe in those projects, obviously.
Okay, and Evan, I know that you work with a number of different projects. So is there a community? So you work with a number of communities, and
I wouldn't say I work with a lot of communities. I have 2 million people who follow me on social media on my own platform, and then I have about 200,000 people on Telegram channels that I run, which are purely crypto token side of things. The Instagram is more lifestyle and just showing what I do every day. But I mean, what I really love about the NFT space is that every community and project you join is so welcoming, and that's the best part about it, right? I've met so many great friends and partners through these NFT projects that I've joined. I started basically as an investor, just saying, hey, this is good, let me get into this space. And then after getting in, I've met so many cool people around the world, from the Bored Apes, from the Punks, even from the D-Gods, and everybody has welcomed me. I mean, for me, it's like, I just recently bought a D-God, and then the whole community welcomes you, right? I go and post about it on Twitter, there's hundreds of people who text you, everybody wants to connect, and like, that's very welcoming. So, I mean, I would know if I would say I'm a part of that community, but I definitely feel like one.
All right, so Cassie, what about you? You said you just got in 4 months ago.
Yeah, so actually I started my career previously has been in publishing. So I worked in publicity and marketing for books, a really wide range of things. And that's where I met Maliha. She was one of my
That's
authors.
where you met what?
Maliha, the founder of Women Rise. She was one of the authors that I worked with, and she wanted to bring more women into the space.
Yes.
We had a really good working relationship, and that's how I got into it. So yeah, now part of Women
Okay,
Rise.
so I have a question. So what does mindful mean to you?
Mindful.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're building long-term interaction with mindful NFT community building. Yeah, like, so that's an intentional, mindful, I presume, is like, okay, so how would you interpret that?
Yeah, I guess for me it's about having an aim, knowing what you want to achieve, and always working towards that goal. That for me is mindful.
Okay, and Joyce?
Well, I suppose for me, in metaphysics, I try to promote that your words are like the wand. They create the magic of your life, your experiences. So be very careful about what you say after I am, because it creates your reality, to be fair. And that's what I'm trying to promote through image and word. And of course, now I'm a manager in a new community on a platform on LinkedIn. We only started it since August. We've onboarded about 2,000 people from 25 different countries of some of the most creative minds globally. They're entrepreneurs, they're interior designers, they're architects, but we're trying to reinvent AI generative art and AI applications to give expression to your thoughts one prompt at a time. So basically, when I heard this, I've always said, your words create your magic, so I had to get on board, jump on board. So I'm following up projects in that, and then I'm in the promotion of metaphysics, because as you think it, you become. As thy thinketh, thy becomes. So I'm trying to reinvent that kind of different religion and be your own central person. I'm running, my current project is called Am I Angel or Alien? So basically what I'm trying to reinvent is the fact that people take on different personas in different environments, but always be true to yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person you have to face is the person in the mirror in the morning.
Sure.
So basically I'm trying to reinvent, that's my mindfulness, my mindset. That's what it basically is. And because it's metaphysics, we come into the world as vibrational creatures. So if you want to attract what you really want, you have to get into that vibration. You have to understand like that if you want to become something, you have to feel it first.
So you or we?
Well,
I mean, our words are our magic, right?
Yes. So I am a person that is trying to make another think positively for themselves.
Yes. And Daniela, what about you? What does mindful mean for you?
Yeah, for me,
in this
I
context.
think that's the most important question to ask. So when we're talking about mindful community building or mindfully building in Web3, I want to bring the word awareness. Sometimes we understand mindful as being in a good emotional state, which also applies, but we've got to be aware that communities are people. It doesn't matter if they are in Instagram or in LinkedIn in my case, or Telegram or Discord, behind all those PFPs, behind all those names that everyone is choosing to represent them with, the important thing is that they're people. So mindful community building is being aware of ourselves and being aware of others to take care of that impact. I have something that is just a little thing that you can take away from today, and I would love that, and it's the 4 E's of mindful community building, which are experience, evaluation, asking them and giving them the voice of how are they doing, how are they feeling the experience around you. Emotion, let's be aware of, build communities from positive emotions, from joy, from purpose, from sense of meaning. a little dial down the FOMO. I think that's not healthy at all. The third one is, and the fourth one, last but not least, education. We're so early staged here that we need to bring people mindfully being aware that they're making decisions with knowledge, or we give them a platform to where to get that knowledge from, so they have a great experience with it, and it keeps expanding from that positive vibe. So for me, that's mindfully community building.
Thank you. And Evan, so you have a different act, and every single person here on stage really represents a different aspect of Web3 in my purview. And so then, what would you have a really distinct view of mindfulness? Like, I have to say that I don't know that. It's just in listening to how you talk about what you're working on.
I mean, the way I would say building mindful communities would come down to one thing I love about the blockchain NFT space, and this after already investing and having advised businesses in 20 industries, from hospitality to fashion to resorts, restaurants, coffee shops, cannabis companies, vodka companies. The one thing I like about blockchain NFT space, you see all these people from different walks of life. Like, look at the stage, right? And then they all come together, and then they have a very collaborative, at least most of them are really collaborative. Most other industries compete. They compete, and then they see who is better. But in the blockchain space and NFT space, what I really like is that everybody wants to work together, or everybody wants to help each other grow. And this you see a lot, and that's why you find the smartest people in the world working in this industry. And that's why I am so motivated to spend most of my personal time here versus anywhere else. And I think when we say building about mindful community, it's about the vibes and the energy, right? It all comes down to that. So in this space, at least the energy is in the right direction. I think what we really want to look at is, like what Daniela pointed out, is that understanding people's needs, and then also being aware about how much understanding about the industry that people are in, they have that. A lot of people here do not have that understanding about how deep understanding about how technical the space is. So I think mindful community building for me would be actually helping uplift that community and giving them those tools and resources they need to understand and grow better. The thing that in our favor is that these are already the most mindful communities you would find compared to other communities. Like, if you go on all the other social media channels and outside of crypto, there's always so much trolling and hating going on. Like,
as opposed to Web3, there's definitely no trolling in Web3.
There is quite a lot of trolling, but there is a lot less hating per se. So
there's a lot less hating in Web3.
There's a lot less hating, I can tell you that. So for sure, there's a lot less hating in the Web3 space than any other spaces you find.
Are you on there's something called Discord. Have you ever been on Discord?
I personally do not use Discord so much, so I'm talking about crypto, right, Twitter, and Instagram.
And what would you call if you had to sum up mindful? What would you call that?
I think a community that works together, is aware about what they need, and is aware about how to get there.
And you said that evaluating a community. So how would you evaluate a community?
I think there's various different metrics that you could look at.
Well, for you?
For me personally, I also look at various different metrics. I don't just look at one thing, but it would
Such
be like
as?
How diverse the community is, different walks of people working together, how collaborative they are, what have they actually achieved,
yes.
and
These are great.
far along the roadmap. Because here everybody is a contributor. Nobody is working full time for any of these projects. Everybody's contributing the best they can. How are you contributing in the same direction, where people are not contributing in different directions?
Overlap.
So exactly. So having that mindful contribution, so that you make more progress than you would make without overlapping. So I think these are a few things I would look at.
Or like inversely, like running against one another, or going in different directions and not working together.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So Pierre, what about you for mindfulness? What brought you into this idea of mindful? How did you get connected with it?
Well, I've always been interested in awareness work, self-improvement work, and mindfulness. So that's been my driving force for the last 10 years. And the thing is, with NFTs, you get to connect with people in a different way than you used to with Web2 social. So even if this has already been said by my co-speakers, I think that the elements that we have to consider in mindful community building are intentionality, so having a shared aim, awareness, so knowing what are we doing, what are we trying to do, and why we're doing that, and growth. So everybody wants to grow and improve, and that's the thing I look for when trying to build a community in this way, because I feel it's much more sustainable. It's like you don't want everybody to get in your home if they're not good guests. So what we're trying to do is, not only choose which people are a fit, but also educating people to improve, because we're not here to judge people while creating community. We're here to grow together, and that's the whole thing about Web3. So I believe that's one of the revolutionary ideas about Web3. It's about cooperation, not competition, as Evan was saying, and that's amazing.
Yeah, playing together, I agree with that. Cassie, what about you? Like when you're new, and you say you're self-defined as new, so like that's not my classification, but 4 months. Yeah. So and I mean, like you've survived 4 months really well. Congratulations, and it has undone many of us 4 months. And so what's your experience when you're working on engaging in a mindful way with communities? It's your community.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of my role is working with various partners. So we want to, as well as getting content, profiles, interviews with individuals, with amazing women, we also want to work with charities or organisations that kind of have the same mission and the same aims as us. Mm-hmm. So in terms of mindfulness, I guess it's just being very aware of who you're working with and how those partnerships can work together.
So it's interesting because mindfulness can be like aware of the community, the makeup of the community, as Evan pointed out. Diversity is one of the things that it's funny because with a number of the NFT communities, they can be a very successful community, and it looks terrific on the outside, and then everybody gets in the room and they're like, oh wow, it's us. We're all the exact same homogenous community, and so by being intentional and aware of these are qualities of mindfulness. This is how we create the sort of communities that we want to be involved with. Yeah, this is absolutely like this is the game. And if we don't do it, and the funny thing is, asking each of you, each had views on this idea of mindfulness that overlapped one another, and yet you each have a different vantage and interaction with this, like very distinct from one another. Yeah. Like this is one of the most interesting things about this. So when you're talking about metaphysics, Joyce, why is that important to you? Are you working to gather people who are interested in the topic, or are you working to bring people in to be interested in the topic?
Well, I suppose I'm coming from a place of experience. I broke my back in 2013, and at the time I was expecting a child. And I couldn't use morphine or anything for the pain. They repaired this has slipped into my spine, so they had repaired my spine. I was able to walk again, but I couldn't actually take any medication. So mind over matter. I always began to visualize a better future for myself. I said if I was able to walk out of this, by God, I'm going to see the world, I'm going to do something, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to tell people that you can overcome anything one thought at a time. So that's why I really started looking. I think. I mean, you're going to represent that. You did that, and so then you model that for other people. Yeah. Yes, but that's what I'm trying to. How can I say promote that you are actually. I can analogy, like you're the conductor of your life, your means, your support, everything is your orchestra. Okay, and what is behind you is the crowd. So don't let the naysayers or the doubters or whatever you want to do. Play with your orchestra and let your music resonate with the world. That's what I'm trying to profess to people. I think very much so the reason I sought out to metaphysics is because your words really do create your reality. They really do. And I think by mantras and so on and so forth, the repetitive conversations you have with yourself seep into your subconscious, and that is what really paints I think your imagination is the springboard of your reality. And I think you are in control of that, and people don't actually branch into the fact that they are in control. And I think very much so, I think every childhood actually lasts a lifetime. I think if you were at a disadvantage as a child, sometimes it resonates through your whole life. But I think words and images sometimes can actually break that cycle. So that's why I really, as an artist, want to seek through word and image to make a change in somebody's life by one image at a time. Or I write poetry as well.
So when you're doing, so we're talking about mindfulness. So again, are you working to bring people into the community to talk about mindfulness, or use mindfulness to bring people in the community, or are you reaching out to other people who have the same outlook and viewpoint of your own?
I'm trying to change people's outlook. I want to be the difference. I think people should stop seeing themselves through other people's eyes. that they're limitless beings. And I think if they start believing that globally, the planet's going to be different. That's why I'm embracing Web3. That's why I'm embracing the metaverse. I mean, basically, the word metaverse came from the Greek word meta means beyond, and verse means universe. And I do believe that your universe resides between your two ears. And I mean, if you are in control of that, you can control your life, you can control your destiny. I mean, at one prompt at a time now that we're talking about AI and applications, one prompt at a time, you can decide where you want to go. You can be and do anything.
So Daniela, when you were talking about the 4 E's a minute ago, like where in your experience did you get, like where did you get to, what led you to those things? Like in your personal experience, like obviously we all go through things that lead us to this thing that is important to you.
This comes from some guy called Bandura. He's one of the latest researchers from positive psychology. And what I believe, and I second here.
Well, how did you
Joyce,
connect with it?
Because I'm a positive psychologist. So what I do is that we study how to make people flourish. That's also why I'm on the journey of making a more empathic world. Because I believe, and what I see is people like Joyce, there's a lot of people in Web3 community that are giving themselves the space to learn out of this, out of wanting to dream something different, out of a purpose, out of the courage, because we do not have to be here, we're wanting to be here. And that places us in a different state of vulnerability and openness to want to relate to ourselves and others differently. So positive psychology, what it does, it brings values, so we're in a better, meaningful state. We know how to bring everyone and uplift everyone because life will have challenges. And we've seen in Web3, in the bull bear market and all of that happening, all the emotions that it still moves to be part of this. So.
Well, I mean, that's a really good point because like there is a lot of there is a big emotional component.
Exactly.
We all are in the bear market right now. Everybody's experiencing this together.
Yeah.
And then we've seen people leave the space because of this. And then one of the things that like as grown-ups, we know that like as full grown-ups, me and you, so we know that what life is going to go on, and if we don't enjoy the experience when it's like this, and we have had friends that like duck out when it's bad, that's not the kind of people we want in life.
That is true, but mostly mindfulness here is, I say again, awareness. If we know we're here because of that, if we know that we're giving ourselves the courage to change our lives so we can change other people's lives today or in the future using technology for good, we need those values to be placed in those intentions.
Right, and so what I was proposing is that bringing that even through the negative times, the times that are tough that we would classify as negative, to have the tools and the mechanisms that allow us to succeed and survive even through the difficult times, because there's always, as you point out, going to be difficult times.
And have a clear purpose and intention.
So yeah, that's an excellent lead in. So like Pierre, no, you've been doing this, you said, for 10 years, like, and so you prior to Web3, you brought that into Web3. Like you have a passion for what you're working on.
Yeah. It's been my passion for my whole life, actually. I was working in clinical research before starting my starting being full-time in Web3. So this is kind of weird, you know. I felt like Web3 was the perfect medium for me to share my message, and I felt like it was the right moment to get onto that train, to hop into that train. So I left my job basically 1 year ago today.
Wow, yeah.
And went full-time in Web3, never looked back. So I believe that starting from what Daniela was saying, there are elements of mindfulness, awareness, and intentionality. And I will add also self-responsibility, because what you were saying before, it was really important. You know, a lot of people left in the bear market because they don't really want to take the self-responsibility for their bad choice. I mean, it's harsh, but that's it. Everyone makes bad choices. I lost a lot of money during the bear market. I'm not afraid to say it, and it was because of my choices, you know. I'm taking self-responsibility for that, and from that, I have the power to build, because I can recognize the problem, I can recognize the issue, but if I ignore the issue, if I say, no, it's not it, that's not it, no, I'm too good to be wrong, you know, that sets us up for failure, inevitably, and, you know, we learn from failures, and that's good. So when we start to see things as, all right, I give myself permission to fail. I give myself permission to change. You know, I don't have to be stuck in an identity that it's not mine anymore. Like, I cannot be stuck in the clinical researcher identity or even the NFT degen identity. That's the reason for me introducing myself as a human being first and foremost, and then a lot of other labels, you know?
Absolutely, yeah. So like this is lovely, in fact, and this is the embodiment of mindfulness in my.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, like clearly you have a passion for it and you worked on it, and this is the.
Yeah, it's been a long self-improving journey. The thing is, what I've learned, especially in this last year, is that every human being is on a quest for endedness. We believe that
A quest for what?
Endedness. We believe that there's that one thing that will solve all of our problems. So if I make $1 billion tomorrow, I won't have any problem. If I get my dream job, I won't have any problem. If I get with that girl, I won't have problems
Evan,
anymore.
if we make $1 billion, do we have any problems?
You still have a lot of problems.
Oh, we do? Okay, so like, there you go.
Yeah, the thing is, you're still the same person, just with, you know, more money or a different circle or whatever. But the thing is, the work always starts from the inside, you know?
Yeah.
So even growing your finance, it's in the brain, in the mind before. And then when your capacity expands, the world reflects that.
Okay, so that point is because you said that like a number of us we've all made bad decisions in the market. I'm not saying that you personally, like I can look at my NFT collection and like, oh my gosh. And the thing is, and because of those decisions, those failures in my decisions, I now realize I learn quickly only by the stuff that I have a passion for. If I love the artist, if I love the art, if it sings to me, if I'm okay with it being in my wallets, then great. And I talked with Nemo back there actually, and he had been our sound guy, and then he had been doing Web3 stuff, and then he had his experiences, and then he kind of pulled back from it. Giving ourselves permission to fail and knowing that those lessons are important to our success is really key to mindfulness. That is going to be, and furthermore, that is something that we can project outwards to our community, because how many communities have grilled a creator for failing or making a mistake when really, as someone pointed out, a lot of times people are really being the best version of themselves. They're doing the best they can. And if we support them through those tough times, they will pass through them, not unscathed, but better, scarred but smarter. I think that's a good way of putting it. So, Evan, like you've got a vast amount of experience. Like you mentioned that you had bought a Bitcoin when you were 14, and I'm not going to hold that against you. All right. So then, but like somebody obviously brought you to put you in a position, like even putting a keyboard in front of a 14-year-old's hands, or however it works. At some point, you made a decision that you regretted, and then like you learn from it. We all do.
I mean, for me, I have no formal education, so I didn't go to any university, I didn't go to any schools, so everything I learned is from meeting other people and learning from others, right? So I have traveled to 25 countries, spoken at over 200 events live in person, like this one exactly, and learned a lot of things. Like, we're learning a lot in this panel right now, right? Great feedback from everybody here. So for me, it's like there's a lot of learning in this space, and if you're willing, there is no limits to, right? There's no limits. Like, the one thing about this space is there is no formal education. There is no university that will give you a degree in NFTs. So
College
if you
of life.
actually, pardon?
It's the college of life.
Okay, exactly. It's the college of life. So, right? So if you're interested, you can go online and start asking. And one thing in life is most people, when you ask, they will help you. So what most people don't do is they don't ask. So you have to ask. So when you ask for help, you will be willing to get out of help. And that's how I was able to do what I did. So I think it all comes down to that, and really putting in the effort and adding value in the best way that you can. Like you said, right? A lot of the people here are doing the best they can. And then getting that feedback and getting the awareness is the next level to that. So I think there is definitely a lot of, the other good thing that he was saying, right, is that everybody in this space is new, right? Everybody is in this new. So if you come in here with a new idea, you are going to be welcomed. If you come in with a new idea, and you're going to be welcomed because everybody is building something very new. I invested in 300 startups last year. All of them started in the last 1 to 2 years. So, and these are some of the startups that are building the infrastructure that will build NFT and the blockchain community as we know it. So I think that's the great thing about this space, is that you can come in with the intention and the will to learn and then assist and then help others. And I think there is no limit to what you can do. And I think this space is all about value. The more value you provide for others, the more value comes back to you. So the more you focus on adding value for others, it just keeps coming back to you more and more.
The thing you just said about asking people for help, I mean, geez, is there a bigger aspect or a component of success? I don't know of one, to tell you the truth. Like even in a situation we were experiencing personal injury, the request for assistance from the universe, from that, and that asking for help is one of the things that holds us back a lot. Because we will go on through life, and for whatever reason, we'll get the message that we're not to ask for help, that we're not suited, we're not the right person. We can be especially in the archetypical societal models, where a person who is a woman, a person who is not of a particular skin tone, a person who is not of an economic class, we get those lessons really quick served to us.
I'd like to add something there very important, and it's because I assume that there's people here that might be just getting into the space, or people that will watch this later that might be just getting into the space. And something that Evan said is so special, because a virtual coffee, 30 minutes, can become a long-term interaction in this space. And that can change the view of how you can add value to this space. How can you build your community in this space? And it doesn't have to be huge, because quality is better than quantity. And that bravery to actually be aware of yourself, inner journey, and asking for those virtual coffees as a first step, even when you might not know much of the space, can really change. And there's people here that I had virtual coffee around 6 months ago when I started, like Alison there. And she said that to me. She said, be yourself and you'll be successful. And I think that's something that for the people that are just starting, that little first step is key to have that courage. So thank you, Evan, for saying that.
So Danielle, you're talking about like asking someone for their time, the most valuable commodity that any of us have.
Yeah.
Yes, so we all know that that's our commodity. And when we go and we request someone, like reaching out to anyone, and a lot of time I work with young students all the time, and I explain to them that as a young student they can write a letter, an actual hard copy letter to someone, and almost certainly we as grown-ups will write them back.
Yeah.
A child, the grown-ups is one thing, but a student will, as grown-ups will write them back. But as grown-ups, we learn, okay, so I can't ask. We give students this permission, but as grown-ups, we learn that I can't ask. And so then we start to, once we get past the place where we are comfortable asking permission, which is I think that Danielle granted everybody permission to ask whoever they want to help. That's an important thing, an important takeaway. Then we get to figure out who we ask, and where we put the directed energy of where we want to ask. If I or you or any of us reach out to a person, we use the name Elon Musk as a cliche, but students will often use that name as well, because we see that name all the time. But there's 8 billion of us here on the planet. So if we want to get a certain thing from someone, there's a variety of us to ask from.
Can I say something? Yes.
Please, Joyce.
Obviously, your time is your greatest currency, but also be very wary about who you give your greatest currency to, because you have only one life. I mean, you can't get it back. This is it. So in the bear market, for everybody, you grow exponentially through the darkness to find the light. That's where your greatest experiences are. And I love the way he said you have to own what you've done to go forward, because you'll only be living as a victim for the rest of your life otherwise. I have a saying, be the reflection you want to receive from somebody else.
So the mistakes, own the mistakes.
Own them.
Absolutely.
I mean, I believe sometimes you meet people that are either a blessing or a lesson. And I think by owning that experience and going forward, and being very careful with your currency, your greatest currency is your time.
Yeah. Cassie, is there something that you would like to leave everyone with? You have a life experience.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, just drawing on what everyone was saying there, just thinking about being mindful and being aware. Like we say that we're all very new to the space, which everyone is, it's a new
We are,
space, but
yeah.
the space evolves so quickly that if someone wants to join now, I think it's very overwhelming, and there's so many acronyms and there's like so much going on that it's probably very off-putting. Like I found it really difficult to enter. So I think, yeah, being aware of that and being mindful of that is very
Okay,
important.
cool. I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to our guests. Hand for our guests. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah, terrific.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.